the backroom market, Ekasi. It's booming, eh? The backroom market, Ekasi. How left, right, wa akhiwa. Mawati left, right, ya akhiwa ngit. Amarumu, ngapa, umqashi ulwa na lona kapatalangi renti, lona uleta bayamtshela ukuthi hayi wena weekend awukho right, but there's a market and it's R1 billion market. So we're going to have a panel, we're going to have specialists come and tell us and give us more insight on what it is about. The backroom rental market in South Africa is valued between 20 billion and 40 billion annually. 20 billion and 40 billion annually. Unama room, Ekasi, you've taken that room, you've made it a storeroom. Awi Spanish. Wanga Spanish, wanga farum kash. But there's a process. There's a process. And we've got experts to come and share with us what that process is. Because there's many people who have said, Zogal, and Toona Lusanda kash. Zogal, sesiyalo amanj, say your court. So we've got experts to come and speak to us about that. Let me welcome onto stage, right? Lusanda from uMastandi. Lusanda? Lusanda is here. Yeah, I've seen her. Please, can you come on stage? Got some shine in his hand as she comes on stage. She's just walked in. Come on, energy. Where was that? Where was the who? Where did the who come from? And now the who came from you, but you're pointing at the back. Where did the who come from? Where did the who come from? It came from you. All right, my brother, let's give him a round of applause. We're going to give you a gift. Please, let's get him a gift. Can we also get the wheelie bag as well from WNRC? But now don't all go woo. Ma told you opportunity woo. So we've got the wheelie from WNRC, and then we've also got a cap for you from Township Entrepreneurs Alliance. Then we've got Cobus Truter from Indlu Living. Please, can you come on stage, my brother? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Then lastly, we've got Mordicai from Room King. Mordicai, please come on stage. Welcome, my brother. Fantastic. You'll sit next to the lady there. Fantastic. Do you have a mic? Here's a mic. Got another mic? Is it on? Please. Yes. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much to our panelists for joining us. Just a quick icebreaker. We'll start with you, Mordicai. Who are you? What do you do? And why this industry? Out of all other industries.
Thanks a lot. My name is Mordicai Mnculwane. I'm a founder and the CEO of Room King. Room King is an online listing platform. It specializes on the backroom market. We are similar to your listing platform, like your old listing platform, but ours is different that we are focusing on the township, and we intentionally want to build up a proper ecosystem around the backroom, around the R1 billion backroom market. Is that the correct way to put it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the interest is because I, like everyone else, or most people here in this room, I come from the township, originally in the village. I'm a village boy, arrived in Joburg, and then live in the township, built in Alexandra. And then through that experience, I had to assist my family who had backrooms. And then from there, as I was doing schooling and assisting, and I fall in love with the backrooms. And then I went on to do some work, being a property manager for managing for a listed guys for over 10 years. So I then took that experience, came back Ekasi, and then try and uplift this market.
Fantastic. I see also in your bio in 2011, you joined the Mafadi Property Management, rising from junior property management to COO. Talk about resilience. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Absolutely brilliant. So there's experience. There's experience.
Yes. I gained a very valuable experience managing properties in the CBD, Hebrew, and reporting to single landlord, and then to listed fund, and to your normal average landlord. I had a lot of experience in the secondary markets, which is like your CBD type of areas, and obviously the township. So yeah, I gained a lot of experience through my 10 years experience at Mafadi.
Before we move on, why Ekasi? I mean, it could have been elsewhere.
True.
Why Ekasi?
Because I heard that Sis Lusanda is deploying 241 million on his fund. I was like, who's gonna save his that
also
fund?
opportunity to
Yes. No, but also on the serious note, it's, like the back of always having to help and the back of always having to improve the place that you live in. So township is like that to us who grow up. You always get the edge to come back and do something. And then when you have an opportunity that you can do a business solution that solves the core problem of the township and move the township a step further, and bringing all this professional experience we have gained in the property and come and apply it so that we can move the township upper and we can have less people leaving the township to the suburb, and then so that the skid capacity also doesn't get drained out as everyone is trying to leave the township.
Sure. All right. Ma'am Lusanda, I want to read your bio briefly. 20 years, over 20 years. There's some entrepreneurs that we always have, like young entrepreneurs that are not even 20. When you've got over 20 years.
I do feel old.
20 years, over 20 years, talk about experience in the property and affordable housing. The CEO of TUHF 21, uMastandi, and Untutuho Equity Fund. You've been with the group since 2000, and you launched this KZN operations. You hold an MBL. You serve on many boards as the Land Affairs Board and Rand Water Foundation. Buning. It's been wow. I think that deserves a round of applause. There's stuff that I've shared that there's a lot that you've achieved. But who are you? Why do you do what you do? And why this particular industry?
All right, thanks. I don't know, can you hear me?
Can you put the mic a bit closer to you? I think it's fine.
All right, morning everyone. I'm Lusanda Netshitenzhe. I'm from a company called uMastandi, but we are part of a group of companies called TUF. You don't have to say TUHF. TUF as in we are tough because we operate in inner cities as well as in townships. In inner cities, we have been operating for about 21 years. I personally have been in affordable housing for just about 25 years. I'm afraid to say more than that because it makes me feel old, but yeah, let's say 25 years, it feels more acceptable. So I've been in the sector for that long. But uMastandi itself started in about 2015, taking from our experiences in inner cities because we saw that the need for affordable housing, people coming to us from townships saying, you are financing in an inner city, but I have an opportunity in a township that needs to be serviced. So we responded to that. When we first started to explore, it was in Bramfisher in Soweto, as well as in Cosmos City, as you go to Lanseria. So we thought, let's see what we can do in those markets. And we went wrong. I mean, people were already trying to use personal savings to develop back rooms, but it will take someone like 5-10 years to build because they have to use savings, salaries, borrowing from family, so they'll buy bricks 1 year, next year they buy cement and windows and roofing. So it takes long to get to that. So we thought there's an opportunity for us to provide financing so that they can get to the end result quicker. So that's why we then entered the market. And also because townships by their nature are very enterprising. You know, there are many entrepreneurs who are in townships who have, that's why we call ourselves uMastandi, because uMastandi is that old lady who's always been renting out the rooms at the back of a stand in the days of, you know, before 1994. So this is not a new phenomenon. We just thought maybe there's a way we can start to provide capital to make it a bit more formalized and see whether or not we can fast track its growth. So that's why we entered the market, and obviously when we came into the market, there were already other players who were looking into it. Cobus will talk about his own company. There's another one in Cape Town called BitProp, etc., that's doing that. But personally, I'm not from a township, and I in fact was afraid of townships because they looked big and intimidating. I'm from Stilfontein, and we are trending these days. You've seen where the miners were trapped, the Zamas. So I was born in a small mining town. So when you come into townships, it can become overwhelming, the energy, the nature, etc. But because Stilfontein was a smaller community, and then I moved back home to the Eastern Cape, which is a rural environment, I saw the same struggles that a black person goes through. And I saw them here in townships, but at a bigger scale. You know, you suddenly are thinking, okay, the problems I was seeing in rural Ngamako, in Eastern Cape, and in Stilfontein, in the Northwest, were small compared to what people in Soweto or Tembisa or Forslo, etc., have to deal with on a daily basis. So that was one of my personal motivations to say, what role can I play in trying to move forward the economies of our townships and, you know, improve the lot of black families and our young people who are trying to look for an opportunity. You know, they're making a plan every day and they just need somebody to believe in them and back them.
Sure.
And that's why we thought we'll take that opportunity. Thanks.
Cobus, you've got a bachelor's in industrial systems engineering. Eva.
Correct.
Yeah. From the University of Pretoria, you began as the economic development for MDC, focusing on entrepreneurship. You co-founded the MPQ group, specializing in social entrepreneurship and housing and ICT. Why housing? Why backrooms? Why this backroom market?
So maybe, let me just kick off by saying I'm very happy to be here this morning. I'm passionate about entrepreneurs. I'm passionate about the townships. I'm passionate about housing, so it's a big pleasure to be here today. We actually were founded in Tembisa in 2017. So this is our home ground. In Kaalfontein, it's good to be here. So I've started with entrepreneurship development, as you read, in actually operating in Kwandebele in Kwamhlanga, and we started to see the same things, that real estate is a big opportunity for local entrepreneurs to grow. We first started with retail, but retail is difficult retail opportunities are more like hunting unicorns. It's difficult to find them. It's hard to do at scale. Sure. It's hard to include the community as a whole. So in 2017 we opened up the Kaalfontein Corner shopping center in Kaalfontein. And the community there, we obviously had to work with the community to develop that shopping center. And by putting that community together, after the shopping center opened, everybody was coming to us saying like, we're amped now, we've done this together, what's next, you know? And we started speaking to the community saying like, what needs do you have? And everyone said, help us fund Backrooms. So that's where it was born, right here down the street in Golfontein. We've been, it's been an amazing journey ever since, yeah.
Let's talk about the, yeah, sure. Thank you. Let's talk about the factors that contribute to the formalization of backrooms in the township. What are those factors and what's the process? We'll start with you.
I would say that other than the policing, which is always nice to see big companies like uMastandi championing it, your TA championing it, other than policing an environment to do business, Ekasi, is also to try and do things professionally and, you know, like be intentionally about what you do from the get-go so that it creates maybe like a proper impact. So you have a lot of, even if you could say room to rent now, whether on Facebook or there's like a lot. There's a lot of people trying to do these rooms, but like Sister Lusanda said, that they are doing it out of their savings. We all experienced that through our family, doing that through our savings. But because there's no funding mechanism, there is no system to assist so that people in those backrooms can move from just doing rooms for passive income into being a professional business and a proactive business that has a proper yield. When you look at your backroom in terms of yield, what yield you want to have, so that maybe at a certain stage you are able to exit at a certain yield. When you start looking at the property like that, it goes to the full professionalization that we are talking about. Other than the digital leases that people like Room King are bringing in the market, to manage the relationship between the tenant and the landlord better, I think it's a bigger ecosystem that companies like uMastandi are championing, and then small players like your Room King coming with those bits and pieces so that at the end, when you talk about backroom, you now have a clear direction, proper stats. Everyone here can tell you how difficult it is to get a stat about the backroom, about the township, including how to fund them, how to give them the money that uMastandi has. Because there is no paper trail of all these entrepreneurs who are doing this.
Sure. I want us to dig deeper into that. Like, see, simplify, man. I'm watching Ekaya Gnama Backroom, and now I want to formalize it. I want to make it a business. What's the process that I need to follow? You're speaking about policies. You know, every industry has a certain procedures that they need to go through, certain formalities and policies, etc. What are those factors that I should also be looking at? Mama Lusanda ngifuna ukenza imali manje.
Yeah. Closer, okay. I think that there's a difference between cash flow or chasing cash or wanting to build assets for the long term.
Sure.
So I think that what we need to be talking about here is to say backrooms or property by its nature, it's meant to help you build long-term assets for your family, for generations to come, etc. And how do you start unlocking that and making it work for you today? And I think that's the question that sometimes we miss in townships, that if you drive around, you see a lot of people sitting on what we call dead equity, meaning you have the property, you have the asset, but it's not compliant. Yeah. So it hasn't followed policies in terms of town planning requirements, rezoning requirements, and therefore you can't sell it for the value that you are able to see from a cash flow point of view, because in terms of its capital appreciation, that can be recognized. So it's important that, you know, we start talking to our communities about the need to formalize and make sure that we are compliant from a town planning perspective, so that when I trade this asset later, I'm able to get real capital value for it. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing is that obviously you can't insure your asset if it's not. So insurance will take your premiums, you'll pay every month. At the time that something happens, God forbid, they will say, well, you have 2 rooms at the back and they're not in your approved plan, and therefore we're not covering them in the insurance, so you can't claim. So that's a risk that entrepreneurs face. So we always say that you need to focus on, I know that these processes are long and exhausting. We are speaking to the various municipalities to say, how can you streamline these processes so that they are easier for homeowners or for entrepreneurs to navigate so that they can get to compliance. So that's the first thing. So we need, I saw that City of Ekurhuleni was supposed to be here. I don't know if they're in the room, to say that they need to take this conversation forward, because Tembisa particularly, we as uMastandi have been unable to finance here simply because the town planning scheme is a little dated. So it doesn't allow for the densities that make a project viable. So you are allowed, I think, you know, the house in the front and maybe 1 or 2 or 4, if I'm not sure, Cobus will know better because he's in this market. But entrepreneurs that we work with in Soweto, for instance, because the city of Joburg was visionary in making sure that it changes the town planning scheme for Soweto from Res 1 to Res 3, meaning when you have a Res 3 zoning, it allows you to build a 2-story block of flats that is approved and compliant with the city, and therefore has, if obviously everything remains equal, you are maintaining it, it's built to quality standards, etc., you should be able to trade it for real value. So there is some work that needs to be done, in my view, in the Ekurhuleni sort of environment. I mean, we had a deal we did in Davidton, for instance. It took more than 18 months to get the rezoning done. By the time that entrepreneur started building, I mean, he's starting recently, the costs obviously move, you know. So the idea of formalizing is important, but I know that it can be discouraging for most people. So I guess my message is, while it's discouraging, there are people like us who've walked the journey. Come talk to us and we'll see how we are able to assist. But mainly the local municipalities need to do something to make sure that these processes firstly are understood, they are accessible, and that they are easier and affordable for people to follow through so that they can comply. So that's the important part of formalization. But you know, I think that this market is so important from a cash flow point of view as well, that a lot of people who we financed were able to, say, earn a salary of 5,000 wherever they are working. Now they have an asset that gives them additional cash every month, so their lot has improved and they are able to then invest in the next property because they can release equity from their first project to the next. We've had a couple of those people that we have financed where we've said it's possible actually, as a young person, as a black person, as a woman, as anybody, as Cobus, to take your asset, your property asset, raise equity from it to invest in the next business and the next business. So I think that's the importance of understanding formalization and what it unlocks for you into the future.
Your thoughts, Cobus?
I think ultimately it's about the capital. If you don't formalize, the capital can't come in. And you've asked your first question, why the township? I mean, there's such a lot of energy here. There's such a lot of population density. You know, we really believe that the townships should be centers of economic growth for the country. I think it's the biggest underserved opportunity in the country. I mean, that 20 billion to 40 billion rand, that's rent paid from tenants to landowners. But if you look at the capital investment required to make full use of that, it's you know, you're talking about 250, 300 billion rand investment. I'm not aware of any other market that's ready to absorb that amount of capital from a pure from a financial feasibility point of view in the country. So the townships has the potential to become centers of economic growth. You know, you expect almost to see, if you look at a city, that the skyline needs to line up with the density, you know, and that's what we want to see. We want to see Tembisa, we want to see the other townships grow into cities on their own, because they're already cities. And what's holding it back is capital. And what's holding the capital back? You know, there's a couple of things, but land use rights, zoning, services, those things are some of the main things that's holding this market back. As Indlu, we work with the municipalities to help and address this. It's not an easy problem to solve, but what we do, our product include a loan to landowners to help rezone the property. So we take you from day one. There's a lot of properties around here that we're currently rezoning as part of the loan application. That it gets capitalized into the property loan, and you're able to bring real capital into this market if you can formalize it. So in the long run, I think the best way forward is bulk rezonings. Another example of that is Mamelodi. A big part of Mamelodi has been rezoned to residential 5, which is perfect. You know, the parking requirements, everything fits the need for the township. So that's something we're advocating, bulk rezoning to at least res 3, 4, 5. But while we're waiting for that, we do help individuals to rezone and upgrade their properties.
Yeah. So there's another question I'm going to ask, and I think, you know, our 3 pillars have really been for this summit about, you know, access to market, information, and networking, and we really love what you're sharing. I'm going to ask the last question before I open it up. I'm sure there are many questions that our audience has, you know, and also online as well. Please take this opportunity to tell us what is it that you are taking away. What are some of your questions that you have? And Cobus, you kept on speaking about, you emphasize this, capital, and all our 3 panelists have been emphasizing capital and the barriers. So I'm sitting here as a township entrepreneur, and I'm in this industry. How do I get the access to funding? What are some of those factors that I should be looking at to get that funding? Can you take us through that process, please?
Thanks. I wanted to address that, to say, you know, one of the things that we see, we are a regulated industry. So when you provide capital, you know, you have to make sure that in terms of the National Credit Regulator, there are certain boxes that you must tick. But also, you know, basic things like FICA, which is a process that we don't decide on. We have to make sure that our clients are FICA compliant. So the documentation sometimes that's required can appear to be onerous in that it is, you know, it is detailed in that you have to make sure that you are able to provide it in a certain period of time because it expires. And we find that people battle with that. But also the simple issue of credit worthiness. You know, we find that in townships, because of challenges of unemployment, I'm sure, and you know what we call black tax, a person is working and has so many people that they have to take care of, and therefore they're not servicing their debt. It affects their credit score. And unfortunately, we have to look at your credit score when we provide you financing. So the process is that you come in, we check your FICA requirements that, you know, you've given us everything we need, and then we run a credit check on you. I cannot tell you the number of times we see people with poor credit scores for regrettable credit, lifestyle credit, you know, a Jet clothing account that has blacklisted them, or a, I don't know, sales house. We don't have sales house anymore. That's a Edgar's, sorry, Edgar's and them anyway, so they are blacklisted for lifestyle issues, and they are sitting on an opportunity of a property that they can invest in, and we are unable to finance them immediately simply because their credit score is below a certain number. So for us, we prefer about 640 in your credit score, somewhere around there, and we can try to motivate. But you get people coming in and they have a good opportunity that they're sitting with, and their credit score is below 500. So that's worrying, and that's a lot of that we see in townships, especially for people in their 40s, thereabouts. I think young people are starting to be a little bit more intelligent with issues of credit, so their credit score. So I just wanted to encourage that they keep that up, because that credit score opens opportunity for you. It makes sure that you are able to access capital. And also for us to be able to raise more funding, he spoke earlier that, uMastandi says it has 200 million, whatever we have, to invest in townships. We can raise more money to invest in townships if we can see that we can feed a quality demand. So we have to show that our loans are performing. So the people that we lend to, we lend against the underlying cash flow of the property, being the rental income stream, not your own income from wherever you are working. So the property technically should be able to carry its own obligation, and we should be able to demonstrate that this asset class works. But sometimes, people dip into the business and they start paying for lifestyle. So instead of paying your rates and taxes and your utilities and servicing your bond, you go and pay school fees from your business income. So also the education around the ability to understand that you have to separate. The business has a life of its own before you have your life, and the business it's a person in its own right. And that education, to say people must understand that you can earn a salary from your business or pay yourself a dividend after the business has washed its own face. It's taken care of its own costs. So those basics are sometimes missing, but in terms of documentation and process, I'm sure our processes are not different, the different providers of capital. You have to, as I say, you have to have a credit score that we can use so that we're not seen as being reckless in our lending. And also we will need FICA documents, zoning information from a property to see that you actually have the right to build what you want to build. So that's why we were making earlier the point around town planning, rezoning and regulations, because we can't back you to build something that's not allowed. Sure. So we would need those documents around that as well.
Check your credit score.
Check your credit score and try not to have JET blacklist you. It's unfortunate, yeah.
Mordicai?
To emphasize what Ms. Lusanda has just said, you see also a lot with how we manage our credit. But also I would like to say to the entrepreneur, this is also an opportunity. Cobus mentioned that they assist people to get rezoning. I think there's an opportunity in the room for people to go and assist those people to get rezoning from municipal, so that one, they can make money. Two, those people make money through going to your uMastandi and your Indlu living to get finance. There is an opportunity there. I just wanted to highlight it before we actually can forget it. Because I can see also a lot on Room King. I get to work with a lot of localized agencies. And then you see how they operate. The tenant in the township, they get the most brutal treatment. Like, you need a space, here's the space, that's all. There is, my cousin is coming, you have to move out, my cousin has to move in, Yes, you see also we get a lot that people say, I want a landlord not to live on site. We have even made a feature that, so that it's easy when people are searching, because it's a problem. So we need to clean up all these small problem and get really professional, treat this thing as a business, treat ourselves seriously, because as much as we cry about opportunities, in most places in the room like this where I go, there's an uMastandi next to me, and every time people ask how to get funded, it's easy for me now because I say, go to uMastandi, go to uMastandi. But people doesn't want to do paperwork, generally. They just don't want to do paperwork. For us to get paperwork to approve a landlord to list their room on our platform, you would laugh. And at that time, for now, it's a free listing platform. It's a free thing. But to just get a document for us to list your property for you to get tenant, it's a problem, you know. So it's something that definitely that we need to encourage, we need to do. We look forward to do a lot of educational program in the township through Room King as we go along. But I just think that there is a lot that we can do from what Cobus has said, to try and assist people to get rezoning proper, to try and help them so that they can unlock potential of their property and get more money.
Cobus, very quickly, thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. The issue around the property being in your name, the property not being in your name, I want to get into this market. I identify a property, and I want to start building, because I've seen that there's vacant land, vacant space. Now I want to start building rooms, which is actually obviously quite capital intensive. What's the process there?
So I think Indlu Living's business model is slightly different in that we partner with entrepreneurs. It doesn't. You don't need to own the land.
Sure.
You need to be able to identify opportunities. So we're not so much credit providers. It's part of our service, but we provide a partnership. And then we co-develop. We partner with you on the property in various ways, and we've seen that's needed because of the issues relating to administration, paperwork. So it remains a challenge. Most people do have, most land in the township, especially in the metros, do have title deeds. The challenge is many times that the title deeds are not in the name of the applicant. And so we have a service where we help you to build the legal paper trail that links the applicant back to typically the grandma who owns the property. So I think that's a big challenge, is the administration of title deeds, because it costs money to move a title deed in the deeds office. It is worth it. I have to emphasize that a title deed is very valuable.
Yeah, sure.
It is very valuable. If anybody's listening that's dealing with this, make sure the admin is done. Get that title deed transferred. Indlu can help you to do that if you've got a good opportunity, but the more you're on top of that administration, the better. Also, if you are an entrepreneur that you don't own property, how do you get in?
Yeah, sure.
So what we like to do is partner with passionate property entrepreneurs. So even if you are a prospective property entrepreneur, speak to us. Get into the game. It might be a long journey. It might not be easy to get in, but it is absolutely worth it. We'd like to support you.
Sure. All right.
Can I? Yeah, I just wanted to quickly add to that, to say we work slightly differently from Indlu, obviously, because we provide mortgage loans. So when you come to us, to your question, you either would have a sale agreement that you've entered into with a property owner who's trying to sell their property. So you come to us and say, I have a sale agreement and I want to do X with this property. So So these are the designs that I want to build. So we would allow you to access finance provided you have a valid sale agreement. But also, if you are already owning that property and the title deed is in your natural name, we would assist you as part of our facility to transfer it to a juristic entity, meaning a company, because we prefer to finance companies because it's a business. And also because it's an NCR risk when we lend to you in your natural person, it's easier to do business with companies, but we would include the cost of transferring the asset into a company as part of our facility. And our facility is provided over 15 years. It's a JIBA linked rate most people are not familiar with JIBA, so maybe prime linked rate, so it's risk pricing. So depending on who you are and your portfolio and what your experience is, we then are able to say, this is our pricing. This is mainly applicable in the tough inner city scenario. For uMastandi, we have a standard pricing that we charge, and our portfolio managers are in the room if you want to chat to them later. Ngobi and Jabulise, I think Bongani also here at the back, and they can explain the processes and requirements further at the end.
Fantastic. Let's give our panel list a round of applause. I would like to open up the floor for 4 questions, our first hand, second hand, third hand, fourth hand. Please, can we get a mic to my sister over here? Please introduce yourself. Straight to the question.
Oh, hi all. My name is Vela P. I'm from Bashumi Moho Construction. I'd like to convey my gratitude to our speakers for gracing us with your presence and the organizers of the tea event. Thank you very much. But I don't have a question. Actually, I'm here to sell myself. As I own a construction company, these are our business cards. I'm handing them over to our speakers. Please pass them for me. Okay, this is what I'm saying. If you need anyone to do maintenance for you, painting, fix windows or doors, I'm the right lady for that.
Wow, okay. Entrepreneurs are risk takers. Ayabona ukuthi yazi la ngaspana ne. That's a question, maar mina question anginayo. Ngibona opportunity la. Okay, our next speakers or our next question is, please can we ask a question? We will have an opportunity to network with our panelists after they're done. My brother, your name, who the question is, let's get going. Thank you.
Okay, it's Kumbuzo here from Etakane. I come from the company Joint Mike Holdings. So, yeah, once again, thank you for your invaluable information. So one of my associates was almost put out of business by rioting community members, claiming he's over-consuming like electrical power and such, So those are kind of problems we face, and like we never like sisibukele phambili. So now I want to ask, the question is, what's a special or a best way we can use to manage or protect our properties against such and more, like our recent phenomenon, the protection, mafia gangs, protection, yes, you see, such things. Is there a way, a special way we can manage or protect our properties from such? I hope you can. Thank you.
I think the most important thing there is to mobilize as a community. Because we've had that in the past where people show up to some of the Indlu buildings. They're not very hard to. They're easy to see. I don't know if you've seen the green and white buildings. They're all around here. So we advertise ourselves, which obviously has risks. In this regard. And what we've seen is that a lot of time people showing up claiming to be the community. They take a chance from outside. If the community that's really there is mobilized, you know, and connected and linked together. You know, it's actually a very, very, very small, you know, it's few people that makes a lot of noise. So get organized as a street, get organized as maybe a ward, work with your councillor, you know, report these things. You know, you got to resist it as a community. As a single landowner, you maybe feel exposed. You know, you maybe feel threatened. But as a wider community, you know, you've got the power. And the police, you know, like that's criminal, you know, like involve the police. Like, don't feel like, you know, these guys have a place, you know, report it, you know, it's criminal activity.
No, I think Cobus just spoke to what I wanted to say now around involving police, because clearly it's criminality. But I think sometimes what helps is that if you can upfront, just see how you can involve them with some of the simpler trades in the construction. So for instance, you don't want to give them something that is structural that might undermine the quality or stability of the building, but you might want to give them small jobs like rubble removal, etc. But sometimes they come to you, they demand to do your plumbing or electricity work, and they don't have the experience. You need to be able to call the police and say, I'm being held at ransom here. But sometimes, you know, I do think that it helps if you try to find ways to work with community structures that come in and request for opportunity in your site. So you know, I think it's a bit of both, because sometimes it's genuine need for work opportunities, but most times it is actually criminality, especially the protection fees. When the structure is complete and you are collecting rent and they come and say, I will make sure that your tenants pay and I will protect that there's no problem in your building if you give me X per month, I think you should immediately report that to police, because that's definitely criminality. You are not, as a citizen, obligated to provide anybody any money to protect you, unless you have decided to go to ADT or any formal security company to give you protection. Why would you need somebody to come and say, I demand to be your protector when you haven't asked for it? I think that we need to be able to call a spade and report these things as they happen. And Cobus is right, there's power in doing it together. So go with your community members, with your street members, and go and report these cases so that police take it more seriously.
Thank you. Get the mic here.
Yeah, Trovela, good day, good afternoon, everyone. Even though my English at some point will go bankrupt somehow. My name is Calvin Madume Mohawa, Director of Tari Civil and Projects. It's a construction company. I worked with Cobus when we built Galfontein Corner, if you still remember me. Yeah, he's right when he says, in this thing you have to work with the community. I was there when they introduced Indlu from the first day. I was there when they built their first house of Mr. Ngeba in Galfontein, if you still remember that. I'm now, that's when my interest started to rise in this thing of construction and stuff. Even in the property, I'm now working with Choka Property. I'm an agent. So, I've got a problem. Even to you, Mr. Cobus, you are no longer doing awareness around, and there is a lot of demands of the people that have interest in that, in your project to build those back rooms and stuff. Because of they know we were there when you introduced that program Indlu. So they used to call us and say, we need this thing of building us a back room. And then in Galfontein your office is deeper there. It's not visible. We need to do awareness. There's a lot of people that still need your services. And then to Mrs. Lusanda, when you explain there, you are too technical and tactical. Once we didn't get that opportunity of getting a lesson into a financial system. When you talk about people who can access the finance, this thing of blacklisting and stuff is going to kill us, a real death. We are blacklisted left and right. And then we've got an opportunity. We've got land. I myself have got 2 big land. So, but I know I'm blacklisted. Can't get that opportunity. So unless if you can maybe maneuver somehow to you understand. So no, it's a problem of managing our finance. We are trying by all means, but it's a problem. It's gonna kill us. So please don't be that too technical. I know and I understand that in business you need to be secured, and because of you can't just unleash the money without any security. But at some point, please do some arrangement with us. Property is mine. I'm blacklisted. Here's the space. You can build more than 20 rooms. But we must talk here. We must talk here. You understand? Otherwise, we are going to give Makula this business. They will build for us and then we move. Because they don't need a lot of things. We'll see. So, to you, Mr. The township economy, the T. I've got a problem here. Now myself, I'm doing my other side hustle is the sound hire. You know, I have realized something when I'm here. This a silent at some point. We need a sound. We need a music. A music is a Ekasi muscle. So at some point there's a breakup. There is no music. There must be a DJ there. When people after clapping the hand, there is that silence, that's breaking, then we are lost. There is some music that's play around, then keep you moving. You must hire me.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Let's wrap it. We've got the last...
Okay, can I just answer him quickly on that blacklisting issue? I think that you are right. You know, we need to find ways to work with each other where we can, and the way we encourage people. Obviously, blacklisting is not a death sentence. It's something you can still resolve. But unfortunately, I don't know how you say it in another language. Debt doesn't I expire. If you're owing me, you have to pay me. You have to pay back the money. I think they used to say that in Parliament, EFF, so you have to pay back the money. And also we are regulated, you know, by the National Credit Regulator. We can't lend to someone whose credit record is such that because remember what your credit record is communicating. It's communicating that your ability to relate to money, the way you handle money is not healthy. That's what it's telling us. So it is, even your bank statement, if you look at your bank statement when we ask for it and we see that every month you take from Peter to pay Paul, we have 2 debit orders that bounce, you are owing this person for 2 months, another for 3 months, it tells us that you are not in control of your finances. And when we give you more debt, which is an obligation, we are putting you in trouble. So the reason we don't finance somebody who's blacklisted is because they're already in trouble. But it means you have to take steps to clear it, because as I say, it's not a death sentence. You can make different choices and fix that debt, and then you can come back later to us when it's fixed, and we are happy to work with you at that stage.
Thank you. All right, the last question, ladies and gentlemen, because of time, we're going to take the last question from the gentleman and then close the panel. Our next speaker is here, and we need to respect the time. My brother, your name and your question and who it's directed to. The last one, then we wrap.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Tulani Shibori. I'm founder and director of Ntsakitso General Services. So basically, I'll be speaking for the entrepreneurs who are not in the property space. So I just want to extend the question to the whole panel. In your respective companies and the companies that you serve as board members, is there any ESD programs that you can present or make available for entrepreneurs, especially in the township, because when it comes to entrepreneurship, one thing that you would realize, some people worked, they made capital, they went into business. But in this economy, you find that it's difficult to even find a job. If you do have a job, the salary that you're earning is not enough for you to sustain your life and to also put some away for capital. And for most of us, we're in a situation whereby you do not have any work and you want to go into business and you have a viable idea. And you do have some business experience, but because of your economic limitations, which is money, you cannot really break into the space. So since big corporates can actually benefit from us, small businesses, as much as we can benefit from them, is there any opportunities that you can present? And I can also maybe focus on things that are not your main business, because I hear you have challenges when it comes to some of the services that you guys need for your business to go. For instance, the change of your title deeds. I think that's a business that an entrepreneur can do, and that's a business that someone in your space can assist develop an entrepreneur like that. But without focusing just on the title deeds, I'm just extending the question. Is there any ESD programs that you can have that can absorb some of the businesses in the township so you can grow them, so they can also grow your business in the process? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mordicai?
Okay.
Then we'll just wrap up with you, Cobus.
Thank you. So I think what I would advise the entrepreneur in the room is that you could send out proposals, engage people. Sometimes companies don't know what they need up until you present it to them. You know, so on the day-to-day, companies, they are just tied up on their objective, trying to achieve what they need to achieve. Especially for Room King, we are a very young company. We are 15 month old, so we not yet don't have those many funding or many resources. But if someone present a plan to us or a proposal, we engage with them. We do a lot of work with local SME. When we do our promos, when we do our door-to-door campaign, and then visiting landlords. So we work with a lot of local SMEs. We issue them with vouchers. We make people win some vouchers on our Facebook page. So we do support local SMEs that we come across, but we don't have yet the formal structures, hence, since we haven't even monetized yet.
I think from our side, you know, there's a lot of support structures around the property sector that I think creates a lot of opportunity for spin-off jobs. Obviously, contractors, you know, anything related to building and maintenance. Indlu Living only uses local contractors, maintenance suppliers, to service our clients, and that's part of what we're trying to do, build that whole business ecosystem around. Agents is another one. For our platform called Indlu Living, we've been working on creating a agent platform where you can earn commissions on facilitating viewings, you can earn commissions on placements, and all of that. So we'll have a big launch. We'll have a big launch of our agent system. It's called Odemo, so you can keep an eye open for that. That will be launched soon. And then also retail space. So part of the it's not only back rooms, it's also about creating retail spaces. So we've got a lot of nice retail spaces. We're working with local retailers to help them expand. We've also got a system called Enter that helps small retailers enter into a formal space. So you're welcome to have a look at enter.io. And so yes, I fully agree. There's a lot of businesses that can benefit around this. We also use local runners, you use local surveyors. So if you're interested in joining the ecosystem, myself, speak to me. My colleague, Mr. Mawande, is also here. You can talk to one of us, and we'll see where in the ecosystem it fits. And then just to the previous question, I'm very interested in that 20 rooms. Let's talk. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's give our panelists a round of applause. Yeah, sure. Can we get...
Sorry, Sbu, I think I just want to address the question that came here because I'm from Nedbank. And I think the issue that you raised is a big challenge that we are sitting with, right? So as a bank, we say we want to get into partnership with the township entrepreneurs. When we get into partnership, two parties need to play their part. As a bank, we acknowledge there are some things that we need to do differently. But if I were to ask you, when you rent rooms, what would you do with a tenant that has not paid for 3 months? And they just do not want to pay you. And you look at them, they're buying takeaway every day, they're throwing parties every weekend. That starts telling you a lot about how this thing has happened. And I think as township entrepreneurs, we need to challenge ourselves to say, if I cannot manage money in my own life, if I do not respect getting into a contract when I asked for money and not repaying it, why should people trust me? If I can't even manage 2,000, why should they trust me with 1 million, with 200,000? And I think it's a conversation that sometimes we're scared about. We don't address directly. And it's normally say banks don't offer. uMastandi comes and say they are for townships, but they don't do. But we forget that as a township entrepreneur, you didn't hold your end of the stick. You are there to make money, we are there to make money, they are there to make money. Why should we put our capital with someone who wants to make money at our expense and do not respect the partnership that is there? So that's just my ask. To say, remember, every time you take a loan, I'll talk as a bank, right? And probably actually anyone who gives you money. Every time we give you money, we got it from somewhere else. For us as a bank, one entrepreneur comes, saves and invests their money with us. We take that money, we borrow it to you. After a certain period, they expect us to pay their money back. If you don't pay us, how do we pay back the money? Because you have not paid us. And if we start thinking about this as a community, as an ecosystem, we actually will improve a lot of financing gap that exists, because this notion to say, companies or VCs want to, even yesterday, they were saying there's a lot of money in manufacturing. There's Lusanda also just said it, there's a lot of money in this space. We just don't have the right candidate with the right character, with the right responsibility to be able to exchange that money. So I just want to leave you with that thinking to say, remember, it's a partnership. It's a partnership. The banks will take their stand. You also need to take your responsibility to pay back the money.
Yeah, that was touching. Eh? It's like, when you go to church and the pastor knows what you got up to, and they're speaking directly to you. You're like, yeah, but why? We're in church, but the business church. Talk about network. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's put our hands together for our panelists from Backroom Market. Thank you so much, Mordicai. Thank you so much, Toona Lusanda. Cobus, please, would like to take a photo. One more time, a round of applause for our panelists.